Welcome to the podcast of School Beyond Limitations. In this podcast, you will learn how to guide your child through their school life with the intention to help them find their unique essence that will allow your daughter, your son to live a fulfilled and meaningful life.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the show. And once again, it's been Nayeef and Martina Geromin here with us. And last week, we just had our alumni meeting. So, Martina, would you please like to reflect on that alumni meeting and the meeting before that, which I was unfortunately not present at?
Yeah, it is always a wonderful moment when, everyone is coming back, not everyone, but alumni are coming back and meet again, even if it's just online. And I think I mentioned that already in a previous episode that we are still a young school, and yet we are old enough to say that we have now 39 alumni, which are out there in the world like you are and are making the difference in the world. And so after a while, we really, since we always say it's so important for us that we basically understand that our students, once they are going off their own trajectory beyond school, beyond limitations, that's not the end, that's just the beginning, And I mean, many institutions and all the institutions of a certain level, they nurture and nourish the alumni community for sure, and for networking reasons and so forth. But within SBL, I feel the way we see it and I see it, it's like creating this kind of nurturing family network where we actually say we belong to one another, we spread the values that we stand for, and we really wholeheartedly say that our students, they are who they are. They go out into the world by understanding that they all have so much power within themselves, not only because they bring their unique essence into the world, but also because they know that by doing so, they can shift also, the reality around them. And it was our second alumni meeting. And as you rightly said, in the first one, you were not present. But the second one, you were there, and it was just, this organic kind of development, from the first to the second one. But what comes across, and I think this is something you said before yourself, and I would like you to share it as well, is that people, alumni, SBL alumni, because it wasn't only alumni, there were also facilitators, teachers, myself, present. There is something very magical when we come together and when alumni come together. And you mentioned they speak differently, they act differently, they think differently, they reflect differently, they show leadership that, comes across, and that's so beautiful to see. And with regards to that, Nayeef, I would really like to ask you what your impression is. You are also already standing, in your own reality, far away from where all the others are, and yet there is something very, very concrete there, this kind of bond, this understanding we belong to one another. We are in different worlds, realities, and yet there is a foundation that unites us all. And how did you experience this, Nayeef?
So, first of all, yes, you're right. I mean, most of the people who were present there lives in a far different reality than I live in, right? But I think what the thing that makes us or that unites us or we find common are the values that we behold and we carry. Yes, the people who are now alumni do have a different way of talking, of communicating, and they just bring this very unique essence along with them, which I think is just another part of SBL, and not just the students, but also facilitators. I remember one of the facilitators who left SBL was present there, and when we get together, there is no formality within it, right? Like we are meeting each other after so many years, and so like ages have past, but when we connect, it's like we start right off from where we left, from where it ended. So that is just so magical how easily we can connect and how easily we feel connected to the other person, even though we're living, in two different parts of the world. And this is magical because even at conventional schools where you meet a student or meet a teacher regularly on a daily basis physically, you still don't have this much of a bond that even after years of not meeting, you can just, connect and start off from where it left or where it ended. And also, the other thing that I noticed is that how they think about life and how they perceive what's happening to them is just so mature, and it's just so, I would say, positive. How they're dealing with their life and dealing with their reality. It's like they have learned to live in the present, which is also another, I think, vital teaching at SBL, that you learn to live in the present. And this is just so beautiful, that I have listened to all the people what they're doing now, and the way that they were willing to share, the way that they were enthusiastic to be very honest about their current situation and what they're looking forward to. So they're sharing their dreams and goals with the people, and it's like a very closely knitted community. And I remember you and other facilitators were also asking, if the alumni would be up for somehow representing SBL. I tell you what, they're already representing SBL wherever they go, because in every community, in every conversations that they're having their voice, that they're having their presence, they do feel a difference in that individual. And I think one of the magical stories that I remember you shared, I think we also shared with the people in Helsinki, I believe it was on a residential, how people were asking like, which school do you go to, and you guys are so mature of your age, and you guys think very differently. So I call it the SBL effect, and they're having it everywhere they go. So them being the ambassadors of SBL, them being the representative of SBL, I think your invitation was whether they were willing to come together all in one common place and represent somehow SBL and represent themselves. And I think everyone was just willing to do that. It was no force, it was no influence. Everyone was just, yeah, I would love to do it. So, the fact that we feel proud to be a part of SBL and to be a part of this community, and we feel proud to just spread it out, I think it's just something that doesn't happen very often.
And that makes us very grateful, I mean, this is something that shows us that we are not just a school. As I always say, we are something more than a school. We are a movement, and we want to showcase that so much is possible if we stick together, and if we showcase also to other people that it's possible, to create, co-create, and be aware that we ourselves are the creators of our own lives by living in the moment and understanding, embracing the moment. And that doesn't mean that we don't make mistakes, but you also mentioned before, there is no, it's very magical, it's kind of natural and authentic, this kind of coming together, although maybe certain people have not connected for a number of years, and others, they connected just after a few months again, and yet there is this common ground. We are so interested in the respective other. It's not just a kind of ticking off, I want to hear, yeah, it's okay, but it's about of really being interested and curious about what is their lives holding for them, and how can their lives be still part of our lives, our shared lives. And that's beautiful. Yeah.
And also the fact that you mentioned SBL being still very young as a school, right? And how quickly and rapidly the community built, that it's not only just the students who attended SBL or just the parents who were in the SBL community, but also other people who just knows about the SBL community feels connected. I can certainly say that I know certain people who did not attend SBL ever, and they just know it from their friends, that their friend go to SBL, and I'm still connected with them. And once again, the SBL effect that is within them is just something to look out for, because it's not very often that you see having a, SBL is more like a movement. We've shared it before, right? Having these kind of movements being, and then being influenced by it is just not a common thing, right? And yeah, so I feel like being the young community that SBL is and growing so rapidly, the impact of SBL and the effect of it to make it sustainable, what we need is that we need the representatives and the ambassadors of SBL to step forward and I think the value and just go out with the value of SBL is just being their authentic self and prosper in everything that they do, because that would then bring and attract more people towards them and get to know their roots, and their root is SBL. So
Yeah. And what happens is something very powerful, and that's this mind shift, right? And I'm referring to one of our, recent students as well who left SBL. And when that person came to SBL, from the conventional school, and again, the conventional school, we are not here to criticize the conventional school, but in that case, that person was really kind of nearly damaged by the conventional school. And then joining SBL and going through SBL for a few years, this person learned to see, the situation from a different angle, to stick to themselves and say, wow, conventional school may be that way, but that doesn't mean that I have to give up on my own personality. And that empowered the person so much that the person went back for the last year to conventional school and finished and wasn't damaged anymore, because was in a different kind of understanding about themselves. And I just recently received this message from their parents who said, you completely changed our child's perspective towards life. And now also difficulties are not seen as difficulties anymore. They are seen as challenges, yes, but as challenges that can be solved by themselves, not by blaming others, but by saying, okay, what can I do and how can I build up myself in a way so that I feel power within, and I can just, allow that system to be there, and I use it in such a way that I'm my authentic self, and I go through this, and this is so beautiful, and that makes us so grateful and also humble, because we see that so much can be achieved, in quotation marks, if we trust the person and the person trusts themselves, because it's all about understanding who you are and then trusting yourself. And as we always say, and I always say, it's not about an ego driven approach. On the contrary, it's about an approach of awareness, of appreciation towards oneself. But that doesn't say I'm superior or inferior. That says I appreciate myself, and thank God, that's important, but I know that I appreciate also the others as much as I do myself, And I think this is what comes across also when we talk with one another, because we listen, right? We are not there superficially. We listen carefully. We want to see. We are curious, and we enjoy, and we are happy when somebody is doing really well. It's a happiness, a satisfaction from within. We are not jealous, or there's no envy or anything like that. On the contrary, we say, what else can we do so that you can flourish even further? Because at the end of the day, if you flourish, you make other people flourish as well. And this is basically what's happening. And I just love to see that.
no, absolutely. And the message that I've taken out of that alumni meeting is that this the whole movement of SBL is basically not just anymore a non-conventional school. I think this is just a new education practice for the new world, and this is actually working. I mean, those alumni are living examples that this SBL way of education is the new way of education, as it should be, because every single individual is on their track, is on the right track of their life, and they're doing what they love, and they're succeeding at it. So this living proof, let it be spread out to the people, let it be known to the people that the new era and the new system of education is for the new world and the new generations, and no longer we should stick. I don't want to criticize, but no longer we should stick to the schools which squeeze out your creativity and constantly pressurizes someone to not be themselves.
Yeah, I think that's a good closure for today's conversation. And Nayeef, I'm always so, yeah, humble, as I said before, when I see, and I hear an alumni talk like this. So thank you for your contribution, and we will continue soon again.
Thank you. Have a good one.
At School Beyond Limitations, we support our students find their unique essence. Feel free to share the content of this podcast with other parents. We are here to show that your children can, indeed, bring their unique essence into life. So, reach out to us if you think that this is what you'd like your daughter, your son to experience, or apply through our website. Also, leave your comments, your questions, or your review about the podcast. Share it with others. And as you know, sharing is caring.